Hello and welcome to Lesson 2-6. Today we're going to look at solving equations by multiplying or dividing. We are still dealing with one-step equations. We're just going to be using division and multiplication this time instead of addition and subtraction like we did in the 2-5 video. So one thing that you need to keep in mind is that division and multiplication are inverse operations. And what that means is if I want to undo division, I can use multiplication, or if I want to undo multiplication, I can use division. So we're going to use those concepts to solve our one-step equations when we're multiplying and or dividing. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at an example. So for example 1, it says to solve 5r equals a negative 20. So ultimately what we have is we really have 5 times r equals a negative 20. We do see this word solve, and remember, the word solve means to get the variable by itself. So right now I want to get r by itself. The thing that's keeping r from being by itself is the fact that it's being multiplied by the number 5. So to undo the 5, or the multiplication of 5, I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Because remember, if you do it to one side of the equal sign, you have to do it to the other. So 5 divided by 5 is going to leave me with just 1, or 1r. And then negative 20 divided by 5 is going to give me a negative 4. So this right here is going to be my solution. Now remember, you can always double check your work by plugging that back into the r up here at the top. So 5 times a negative 4, does that equal a negative 20? And the answer would be yes. Example 2 says to solve 96 equals a negative 8n. So again, I'm solving, so I want to get my variable by itself. And in this case, n is attached to the negative 8 with multiplication, and you can write that in if you want. So to undo multiplication, I have to divide both sides by that negative 8. So if I divide both sides by a negative 8, I have 96 divided by a negative 8, which is going to give me a negative 12. Negative 8 divided by negative 8 is going to cancel, and it's going to leave me with n. So I have n equals a negative 12. Now with example 3, it's going to look a little different. We're going to solve x divided by negative 9 equals a negative 3. So x divided by negative 9 equals negative 3. So now, because I'm already dividing, I need to undo that division, and the way we can undo division is we can multiply. So by multiplying by my denominator, which in this case is going to be a negative 9, okay, and I'm going to multiply both sides by a negative 9. When I multiply, my negative 9s are going to cancel, and I'm left with x, and then negative 3 times a negative 9 is going to give me a positive 27. So I end up with x equals a positive 27. And again, you can confirm this by plugging that 27 in for x. So 27 divided by negative 9, does that give me a negative 3? And again, the answer is yes. Example 4 says to solve t divided by 6 equals 54. And again, I want to undo my division to get t by itself. So to undo division, I have to multiply both sides by 6. My 6's are going to cancel out here, and that's going to leave me with just t. And 54 times 6 is going to give me 324. Now when we look at example 5, we have a story problem. It says, suppose you deposit $20 into your lunch account. Lunch is going to cost you $3 per day. How many lunches can you buy? So I have $3 for every day that I buy lunch, and I know that that has to be equal to no more than $20. So this is the equation that I'm going to use to figure out how many lunches we can purchase. So now, ultimately, I'm going to solve for my x, which is my number of lunches. So I'm going to say x equals the number of lunches. Okay, so if I have 3 times x To undo the 3, I have to divide because that will undo the multiplication. So now what I'm left with is x equals 3 goes into 26 times, which is 18, and it's going to leave me with 2/3 left over. So I can't buy 6 2/3 lunch. So because I'm dealing with a story problem, what this tells me is I can buy 6 lunches before I run out of money, because if I go to buy the 7th lunch, I'm not going to have quite enough. Example 6 says you and your family went to the Michigan State versus U of M game. There are 4 people in your family. The total cost of tickets was $220. How much was each ticket? So we have 4 people times the price of each ticket, and we know that $220 was spent on everything. So in order to solve this, I have to undo the 4 from the t, and that's 4 times t. So to undo multiplication, I divide both sides by 4. My 4's are going to cancel over here to leave me with t, and 220 divided by 4 is going to leave me with $55 per ticket. Example 7 says, you and 2 friends go out for pizza before a basketball game. You decide to split the bill evenly, and you each pay $6. How much was the bill? So we know that if we have a bill, which I'll call B, and if we divide this, it's you and 2 friends, so you plus 2 friends is going to give you 3 people. So I'm going to take that bill and I'm going to divide it in thirds. And we know that you each paid $6. So in this case, we need to find out what the total bill was. And so I have B divided by 3. To undo my division, I have to multiply. And I'm going to multiply by whatever's in my denominator, or in this case, that's 3. So if I multiply both sides by 3, I'm left with B equals $18. So that original bill was $18. And our final example for the day says you pay $175 for hockey equipment at Dunham's. This is 1/3 of the regular price. What is the regular price of the equipment? So here I have 1/3 of the price is equal to $175. So what you could do is you could write this as 1/3 P equals 175. You could also write this, because if I remember when I multiply fractions, if I have 1/3 times P, that's really P over 1. So I'm going to multiply my numerators. I really have P divided by 3 times 1 is 3. So I could really rewrite this as P divided by 3 equals 175. So by doing this, I can see that I need to get rid of my denominator. I'm going to get rid of my denominator by multiplying both sides by 3. And that's going to leave me with P equals 175 times 3 is going to be $525. So the original equipment, or the original price of the equipment, was $525. Please let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day.